maybe the first signs of progress. Meanwhile, not all Democrats on board with the spending part of this. Utah Congressman Jim Matheson not at all happy with some of the pork he sees in Washington stimulus and spending. He doesn't think the president should be either. Congressman, you might have heard it from your counterpart who was saying that he's fine with these measures. We should keep pushing these measures. You say no. Why not?
Well, we got to distinguish between a one-time stimulus bill versus the ongoing actions of government. This spending bill that we're looking at right now in Congress sets the annual spending levels for the various federal agencies. And it shows a 9% increase over last year. And you know what? That just sets the baseline for the next year and going on after that. It's just like the concept of compounding interest. A 9% jump this year costs that much more over time.
All right, so is there a division in the ranks, Congressman? I mean, I've heard from, many thoughtful congressmen on the left and the right who argue, this is heard on the left, very vociferously for continuing the spending, warts and all, because without it, there's going to be hell to pay. I hear you saying, well, there could be hell to pay if we go forward with this kind of spending. It's the first time I've heard this type of schism to this type of degree, really, in this new Congress. Trouble?
Well, one would hope members of Congress would recognize the difference between a short-term economic stimulus effort versus ongoing government spending. I'm kind of disappointed the discussion isn't acknowledging the differences between the two. There was a strong argument that there needed to be a stimulus package with the job loss numbers we saw in November, December, January, and we've seen it in February as well. But the notion that ongoing government spending ought to be jacked up, which really is going to take place in perpetuity once you do it, that's a different set of issues. So we really ought to frame the discussion in that context, and I'm a little disappointed it hasn't been come out that way.
Let me ask you, we're looking at, as you're speaking, sir, Bernie Madoff is returning to his penthouse right now. We've got this cool thing called a Streambox cam that just allows you to take this image. And he's heading back to his penthouse. But a lot of people have likened this to an end of an era. That every go-go era has its sort of former superstars going to the big house. In other words, before his big penthouse, ultimately the big house with bars on it. Do we need to see that to move on from this?
I think that there are a lot of people in this country who are very angry that there were certain individuals who were taking advantage of the situation inappropriately. And I do think this country needs to see that our justice system does work and that people are held accountable. There's a lot of cynicism out there right now in this country, and if we're going to get on a track where there's new economic growth and people feel good about this country, they're going to have to see some folks held accountable for bad actions. So, yes, I think this is important.
All right, Congressman, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Neil.